So you feel like money is hard, right? You can change that. After today, you will no longer look at money being something that is difficult to get, to keep, or to have. That's what we're talking about in today's episode of Money Miracles and Magic, Money Miracles and Magic segment on the Unleashed Alchemy TV. That sounds good. I think I'm going to start saying that, Unleashed Alchemy TV. So let's get into today's episode. So how does religious programming cause us to operate from the identity of a person who believes that having money, getting it, and not just getting it, but getting a lot of it, okay? Because any of us can go out and we can go apply for a job, any job. I'm not even talking about a high paying job, just any job. We can go out today and earn money. Many of those jobs are hard. They're hard not just because of the work itself, but a job can be hard when it's something that you have no passion for. A job can be hard when it's something that you have no desire to do. I don't care how big the paycheck is. And I can say that because I've been in that situation. You will have people that will tell you, oh, well, at least you're making money. But guess what? I don't know about you, but I'm just going to venture out and say that if you're watching this, that you know that you didn't come here to live in at least life. Okay? So when we talk about religion teaching us that to have money, to get money, that it has to be hard, that it must be hard, it develops a story that money is just a hard thing, that we put this label and this garbage on top of a tool and a resource that is actually a beautiful energy, if you think about it. But we have been taught, and not just religion, but I'm going to keep it to religious programming specifically, but not just in religion, but societal programming altogether, which has its roots in religion, in the religious system. Okay. So I'm going to give you a few illustrations. Some of them you may have seen, some of them you may have experienced yourself. So recently, we've seen videos floating around of pastors, one pastor in particular, during the collection of money that we know to be the offering portion of a church service. One pastor said, demanded, commanded, ordered people in the church to close the doors of the church during that particular service, during that particular portion of the church service. So that feeling right there, when you go to start to collect money and you tell people, basically telling people, you can't leave until I've gotten your money. There is a connection there that to have money must be hard. This preacher himself is thinking that for him to receive money, that he has to go to the extreme of closing the doors of his church so that people will be more inclined to stay to give their money during the church service. So he obviously does not have the faith that he preaches, that his God is going to take care of him. We see those images. Another video that was floating around of another preacher. This time it was a woman. The gender really doesn't matter. But a woman claiming that there were, I believe, what was it? 40 people. I think she was saying 40 people. God told me that there's 40 people that are going to give me $1,000. Something of the sort. And it might, I think that dollar, I think I'm lowballing that dollar amount. So you have people who could have had the amount that she claims that her God told her to ask, to demand. And then you have people who did not have the amount. So what's taking place with that illustration? Well, you have the people who had the dollar amount that were saying, well, I have it, but I don't choose to give this amount of money here. And when you have money, you don't, here's a side note, which we'll get into a little bit later, probably in another episode, but you have every right to choose what to do with your money. That's your money, right? You have free will to do what you want with your money. You are not obligated to give in a certain way just because someone tells you that some God up there said that they should. So then you have people who don't have it, who are feeling bad because they don't have the money to give, and they're feeling less than because they don't have the money to give. And this woman, this preacher, or whatever she calls herself, she kept driving home the point that there's people who have this money and she knows it and they're not being obedient. So then that brings in the talk of manipulation. What is manipulation? Telling people that they should do this, or this bad thing is going to happen, or if they don't do this, then they are disobedient. Disobedient to whom? I mean, again, we have grown people talking to grown people and telling them what they should do with their money. The reason why I am bringing up those two specific videos is because those exact same things, they are existing in 2025 in the church, but those are not new events. I remember, I am 48 years old now. I remember as a teenager seeing the same type of pressure put on people to give money to church. I saw the same illustration, the same message. God told me that there's this amount of people to give this much money. God told me that people in the church have this amount of money and they better give it. If you want healing, you better give this amount. If you're not healed, then you haven't given enough money. Well, if you don't have enough money to give, then that means you don't have enough faith. So then what does that do? That creates this continual battle for money. It gives off the energy and the frequency that money in your life has to be hard. That is what you learn. So if you can imagine someone, if you're like me and you grew up in church, or even if you spent a significant amount of time, those messages get into your nervous system because it becomes what you live. Not just inside of a church building, but you take that same message and you apply it to your everyday life. So then guess what? Money becomes the topic of struggle. When you talk about struggle, money sits at the top. And so then we have all this heavy weight that we put on money. And money is just existing, minding its own business. But we have put the difficulty on money. And this is why I talk about the emotional piece, the nervous system piece, and the identity piece that you have to navigate through and not just leave the church, not just deconstruct religion. Your deconstructing of religion has to include that internal rewiring that can feel like a challenge. And it is because you're telling your nervous system, hey, we have operated in this certain way for so long, but now we're done with that timeline and we are elevating. We're coming up here. So now we're operating as sovereign beings, as money multipliers, as money manifestors, as money attractors, as abundant beings who came here to have money with ease. Do you not know, as you are breathing while you're watching this video, with the same ease that you breathe in and out, that you inhale and exhale, that you are giving off a frequency, that you are giving off an energy? Well, guess what? With the same ease that you breathe in and out, that's what money is. Money can exist in your life with the same ease. If that is hard for you to imagine, that's fine. It means that you have recognized that you have a money blip and a money static that's operating in your life. The other part of that, which is also good news, is that you can do something about it because you are a sovereign being. I want you to think about how that dogma, that religious programming that tells you that to have money, to get money, to keep money, to give money, that number one, you don't have autonomy. Yes, you do. You have autonomy over yourself. You have autonomy over your abundance. You have autonomy over your money. You can choose where to give it. You also can choose how you get it. Getting money does not have to be hard for you. You do not, I'm going to say this, and this is going to wipe out any limiting money belief that you've ever had. You do not have to do things that you don't want to do to get money. Didn't I say earlier that that's hard? That is not a requirement to have. And I'm not talking about, okay, yes, we can have money. If I pick up a penny off the floor, technically, because a penny is money, technically I have money. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about money in lavish amounts. I'm talking about money in big amounts. I'm talking about money in the amounts that match your true identity as an abundant being. How do you know that you're an abundant being? Science tells you that you are an abundant being because of the fact that your brain can create new neural pathways. Your cells are countless. The DNA strands that you have in your body, if you were to unwind them, after you unwind them, they could literally wrap around the globe at least 5 times. And that is an estimate. That is unlimited. You are unlimited. It is your natural state to be in a place where you are receiving, where you have access to unlimited money. If no one has ever told you that, well, congratulations, because you heard it first here. Your being says that that is your true identity. So, how do you get into that? And it's not just a mindset, it is in your body. How do you get that in your body? Look at who you are as an abundant being. I just gave you a few science details. Again, your anatomy says that you're abundant. I want you to look at how you believed all this time, the way that you have got money, the way that the way that you have gone about getting money. Has it been easy? Has it been something that you have liked to do? Has you doing the things to receive money, have you been passionate about those? And if you haven't, why not? And do you believe that you can change that? Do you believe that having money is hard? Earlier at the top of the video, when I asked you if you've ever held money in your hand and you really paid attention to what you were thinking, what were those thoughts? Where did those thoughts come from? Are those stories that are coming up, do they belong to you? Do you believe them anymore? And I want you to do that exercise. That is how you change your relationship with money. And I don't really like to say that phrase because that phrase, it gets overly used and people don't really understand what that means, relationship with money. It's how your body responds to it. It's how you identify with the money, with the currency. So those are the tips that I want to leave you with. Let me know how you are enjoying the Money Miracles in Magic segment on Unleashed Alchemy TV. And stay tuned for next week on our Money Thursdays, where I will be dropping another video about money. So go out, be wealthy, and be rich in ways that you choose, in ways that are passionate, in ways that are loving, in ways that allow you to be free in your being, to be free in your spirituality, to be free in your sovereign identity. All right, until next time.